Welcome everyone to my YouTube channel. If you find it interesting, please give me a like and a subscription. Wish you all a good day. Here is the short story. The female lead of a tragic story knows how to open her mouth. I transmigrated into the female lead of an ancient tragic story, and I also suffered from a strange disease. I can only tell the truth. My second sister ran away with a poor scholar. My father forced me to marry her instead. The brainless male lead was angry and sold me to a brothel to be a beauty queen. Half a month later, he came. I intended to pretend to cry and regret, but when I opened my mouth, it became, "Oh, Your Highness, are you here to play with girls?" Brainless male lead. Me. Everyone. I transmigrated into the female lead of an ancient dystopian novel, and I also suffered from a strange disease. I can only tell the truth. My younger sister ran away with a poor scholar. My father forced me to marry her instead. The brainless male lead angrily sold me into a brothel to become a beauty queen. Half a month later, he came. I intended to pretend to cry and regret, but as soon as I opened my mouth, it became, "Oh, Your Highness, here to play with girls?" Brainless male lead. Me. Everyone. I am the female lead of an ancient dystopian novel. The type of female lead who has no mouth, was misunderstood, was drugged with abortion drugs, was hung on the city wall for 3 days, fell off a cliff, went through 99 and 81 hardships, but didn't say anything, relying entirely on the male lead to figure it out himself, and in the end, it was a forced he. As soon as I transmigrated, I was forced to run away with someone else in place of my younger sister, and as the legitimate daughter, I had to marry the wheelchair-bound Jean King. Jean King Xiao Changming is the male lead in this novel. The wheelchair thing was definitely fake, but the illness was real. On the wedding night, he lifted the veil, saw my unfamiliar face, his expression immediately darkened, and pushed me to the ground fiercely. "Who are you? Where's Xian?" I knew that time travel was a dangerous thing, and if I collapsed, my character setup would most likely disappear. In order to maintain the image of a weak and innocent white lotus, I bit my lip, tears welling up in my eyes, intending to say, "I don't know." But as soon as I opened my mouth, it was, "What about Xian?" Jiang Yun Xian had already run away with that poor scholar. She knew you were a cripple, so she didn't dare to delay for a moment, and left in the middle of the night in a carriage. I am her younger sister, Jiang Yolian. I was a little surprised, and immediately covered my mouth. Oh my God! How could this happen? How could this be said? Xiao Changming's face became extremely unsightly, his gaze wishing he could turn me into a sieve. He bent down, grabbed my collar, and pulled me up from the ground. "What did you say?" I was frightened, my heart was shaking like a leaf, and I was about to cry. I quickly waved my hand, wanting to say, "Your Highness, you misunderstood, I didn't mean that." As soon as I opened my mouth, it became, "Don't you understand human language? You're already hard of hearing at a young age, your legs are not convenient, and your ears also have problems?" Xiao Changming glared at me, already so angry that his eyes were about to roll back. "Jiang Yolian. You want to anger this king to death, right?" I tried to cover my mouth, not letting the words in my heart come out, but I couldn't help it. That's right, die quickly, I'm still waiting to eat the feast." Xiao Changming took a deep breath, suddenly reached out and grabbed my chin, forcing me to look up at him. "Jiang Yolian, you deliberately acted differently. Is it because you wanted to attract this king's attention? Very good, congratulations, you did it. The humiliation you brought to this king will never forget it in this life." 2 lines of tears rolled down my cheeks. When I opened my mouth again, I said, "Oh. Xiao Lu, you're still quite vengeful? Damn it, the one who kicked you wasn't me, it was Jiang Yun Xian. I was also forced to marry here instead, okay?" Xiao Changming's hand holding my chin suddenly tightened. The force was so strong that it almost dislocated my jaw. Isn't it because you're greedy for vanity, wanting to be this king's princess? Me, stop it. Isn't it because my bastard father, afraid of your power, had me marry here instead of her? I am the legitimate daughter after all, yet I have to replace a concubine's daughter to marry. How unlucky. My ability to speak the truth is a bit ferocious. Xiao Changming, even though he is a domineering male lead, is a bit unable to handle it. He stared at me, his eyes complicated, wanting to say something but stopping. You are really the legitimate daughter of Jiang Shangshu? What else? Wanting to marry a concubine's daughter, and bringing home a legitimate daughter, how happy are you? My damn father is the Minister of War. Although he is a bit timid, he is also a high-ranking official, understand? Xiao Changming hugged my waist. After a long while, he was not angry but instead laughed. He said to the guard Han Xiao beside him, "Go investigate. This king wants to know, this thing, is it really Jiang Shangshu's legitimate daughter or not?" Han Xiao looked at me with pity, clasped his hands and retreated. "Yes, Your Highness. It's over, it's over." I closed my eyes, wanting to pretend to faint. Please let me leave this beautiful world now. Xiao Changming's arms that were holding me suddenly tightened. Why did you faint? The corners of my mouth twitched, my eyelids opened. No. I'm pretending. Xiao Changming? I covered my face, tears flowing from between my fingers. Because on our wedding night I spoke so shockingly. Xiao Changming originally intended to demote me to the crude maid in the original work, but he forgot about it. These past few days, Xiao Changming has been busy searching for Jiang Yunxian's whereabouts, and has not had time to pay attention to me, so I, this female lead of this abusive story, was able to survive under the name of Jin Wangfei. Xiao Changming's biological mother died early, and the person in charge of the mansion was his wet nurse Wu Mama. Wu Mama had great power. She always dreamed of her daughter Tweenie crawling into Tu Truongmin's bed, but Tu Truongmin fell in love with Zhang Van Tian's green tea at first sight, and had no choice but to marry her. They were very dissatisfied, knowing that I was a substitute, and being discovered, Tu Truongmin did not value me at all, so he secretly acted two-faced, intending to cut down on my food rations. Although I was not convinced, I did not intend to argue with them. After all, I was living off of others. But my illness was too severe, and my true words always came out unconsciously. Oh. These rotten vegetables, even pigs would not eat them anymore? What's wrong? The Jin Palace is so dignified, yet they actually feed the princess consort these things. Is your prince family bankrupt? Wu Mama and Chui glared at me angrily. I could not help but blurt out, "Oh my, this is bad, this servant girl wants to harm the master. Lan Xiang, quickly go call the prince to come and see." Lan Xiang was my neighboring maid, and these past few days she had been scared speechless by my shocking words. Hearing me like that, she dared to argue with Wu Mama and her daughter, whispering in my ear, "Miss, I heard that this Wu Mama is the prince's wet nurse. Her daughter Tweenie is also a childhood friend who grew up with the prince. Meaning, it's better to tell me not to provoke them." I don't want to provoke them either, but my mouth can't be controlled, it has its own thoughts. So what? The prince's wet nurse, can she disregard seniority and take advantage of the situation? Does she think that I stole her daughter's position as princess consort, and wants to show off her power to me? Then she can't even dream of it. Her daughter has a sharp face like a monkey, she's not in the prince's good graces at all. Otherwise, why after so many years, she can't even be a concubine? As I spoke, I couldn't help but cover my mouth and let out tears. The original is a heartbreaking story. Tweenie and No Mama are very cruel and dare to do any bad thing. Do they want to be like in the original, drugging me, slashing my face, and throwing me into the cemetery? In order to not be thrown out by those people who don't know, I decided to attack first and make a big deal out of it. I pulled Wu Mama's hair and slapped Chui. In the face. Xiao Changming couldn't find Jiang Yunxian. He hadn't been seen for a few days. He was probably in the study. He heard me fighting with his wet nurse and maid, and came in a wheelchair. As soon as he arrived, he couldn't tell right from wrong and pointed at my nose and scolded me, Jiang Yolian. You troublemaking woman, what tricks are you trying to pull again? Are you trying to attract this king's attention? This king is telling you, even if you do that, this king won't even spare you a glance. Heaven and earth can testify. This isn't playing tricks, it's clearly a legitimate resistance, okay? I didn't say anything, but when Xiao Changming wasn't paying attention, I picked up a piece of rotten vegetable and stuffed it into his mouth. Xiao Changming's face immediately changed, and he spat out a puff puff puff. Jiang Yolian, you hateful woman, what did you feed this king? Such a bad thing, even pigs wouldn't eat it. I felt that Xiao Changming had finally said something fair. I said to Wu Mama and Chui'er, did you hear that? Your Wang Ye personally said it. Then, with tears in his eyes, he clenched his fists and accused, your Wang Ye. Does your Jin Wangfu's Wang Fei only eat this? Not even 3 main dishes and 1 soup? No wonder Jiang Yunxian had to chase after that poor scholar. It turns out you're even stingier than that poor scholar. Xiao Changming heard what I said, and his face immediately turned as black as the bottom of a pot. He angrily glared at Wu Mama and Chui'er. What exactly happened? Wu Mama knew Xiao Changming's temperament, and quickly explained, Your Highness, please calm down, it must be that this subordinate doesn't understand the rules, and is delaying the princess consort. This old servant will leave immediately. Tweenie was very arrogant, and said to Xiao Changming, Your Highness. What kind of princess consort is this woman? She's just a fake substitute. I heard that on the wedding night, this woman angered the prince so much that he had to leave. Tweenie just wanted to help the prince teach her a lesson. Although I am a bit of a coward, my mouth is very brave. It will pour out all my true thoughts. Hearing Tweenie speak, I really couldn't hold back anymore. You helped him vent his anger? What are you? Do you have any shame? The Jin Palace really has good rules. A small maid dares to cut down on the princess consort's food rations, saying it's to vent her anger for the prince. Prince, those 2 aren't your wet nurse and maid, but your ancestors? I gave up, let it all go. Even if the 2 of them came to climb over my window tonight, I still had to say it. Lan Xiang saw me arguing again, almost crying. She grabbed my sleeve, crying and shaking her head. Miss, say a few less words. I also wanted to say a few less words, but I couldn't control myself. Not only did I have the disease of only being able to tell the truth, but I also had the disease of not being comfortable saying it. Xiao Changming was so angry that he trembled. Coupled with my usual cold expression, the temperature in the room dropped a few degrees, and the people around him couldn't help but shiver. Everyone looked at me with pity, feeling that I was definitely dead. Unexpectedly, Xiao Changming opened his mouth, then tell me, what do you want to eat? I was stunned. He wants to improve my diet? I wanted to say, 3 main dishes and a simple soup is enough. Unexpectedly, as soon as I opened my mouth, a long list of dish names came out. Steamed lamb, steamed bear's feet, steamed deer tail, roast duck, roasted chicken, roast goose. After that, I saw Xiao Changming silent for a moment, then said to me, the eating standards of a princess like you, our Jin Wangfu cannot handle. From today on, you are demoted to a concubine, 3 main dishes and a soup every day. I was completely dumbfounded. Just now, did I mock Tweenie for not even being a concubine? I feel that the root of a female protagonist's suffering is falling in love with the male protagonist. Even though I'm not like in the original plot, becoming a clumsy maid, doing laundry, sweeping, wiping tables, washing dishes, living a life that is both weak and strong. But he said concubine. Concubine means sleeping with him. I can't sleep with him. I immediately refused. Your Highness, why don't you divorce me? I'll go home and eat. Xiao Changming mercilessly refused me. You're dreaming. The Jiang family lost my princess and brought you here. You should know the consequences if this king finds out. You just obediently stay in Jin Wangfu. Unless Minister Jiang finds your older sister and hands her over to this king, you won't be able to leave for the rest of your life. Oh, he's so perverted, so dark, so crazy. I don't like him. I wanted to say, Your Highness, please forgive me. I was wrong. But what came out was, don't tell me you've seen my uniqueness and have developed an interest in me? You say that you're keeping me because of Jiang Yunxian, but in reality, you want to keep me by your side. Your Highness, you really say one thing but mean another. As soon as I said that, the surroundings fell into a deathly silence, almost enough to hear a pin drop. Even Tweenie, who treated me like an enemy, suddenly looked at me with pity. I screamed in my heart. Ha! 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 I wouldn't be the first female protagonist in a tragic story to die because of her talkative mouth, right? I only heard Xiao Changming say word by word, Jiang Youlian, you said this king likes you? This king will now prove to you whether this king is interested in you or not. I was extremely panicked. No, why should I know about this? But Xiao Changming's people came to keep me. After that, he sold me to a brothel? Everyone knows that female protagonists of abusive literature are very miserable. Because there is a male protagonist who always abuses her. The male protagonist of this book, Xiao Changming, is like a psychopath, and his personality is also distorted and erratic. 1 second, I don't love her, I keep her just to torture her. The next second, why do I clearly love her older sister, but seeing her hurt, I feel heartbroken. Then, to prove that he doesn't love the female protagonist, he tortures her even more. Now this female protagonist of abusive literature has turned into me, with my blabbermouth, Xiao Changming won't love me. Therefore, for me, all he has left is abuse. He ordered someone to put on flashy makeup for me, put on a dance outfit that exposed my waist, arms, and legs, and a very low neckline, and made me dance in front of everyone. When I saw my beautiful self in the mirror, I couldn't help but praise it, so beautiful. The brothel's madam dressed me up in the style of a Western region dancer, her clothes fluttering, and she even gave me a pipa. If it was a true lady from a noble family, this would probably be an insult. As for me, a lustful person, I just wanted to sniff it. I am so beautiful, I want to hug and kiss myself. Sure enough, when faced with beautiful things, no matter how much resistance and disgust I have in my heart, the saliva at the corner of my mouth will still flow down very honestly. Xiao Changming saw my way of dressing, his eyes wide open. I only saw his eyes darken, his fingers placed on the armrest of the wheelchair tapping lightly, clack clack, the meaning unclear. I was very afraid that he would have some intention towards me, so I quickly nipped that thought in the bud. Me, Your Highness, do you want to say, oh? Why do I clearly hate this woman, but now I find her so beautiful? Don't forget, I'm just a substitute for my sister, the person you love is my sister. Xiao Changming's hand suddenly tightened, and he ordered in a low voice. Take her down. Oh, damn, damn. A time travel without a talent show would be incomplete. I was half-hearted and tears welled up as I was pushed onto the stage. Xiao Changming sat on the upper floor, in the first classroom, looking down at me from above. I covered my chest in embarrassment, looking at him with grievance. A trace of conflict and emotion seemed to flash in his eyes. Immediately after, I snapped my fingers, play. Then, I performed a Hu Chuanwu and a beautiful pipa dance. In an instant, everyone was shocked, the entire hall erupted in applause. The men present fought to raise their hands to throw things, copper coins, gold bars, jade pendants, fresh flowers, in short, anything valuable, they threw it. The corners of the madam's mouth were about to tear up to her ears. She was laughing as she picked up the money. Oh my God, so much money. She didn't know my identity, nor did she know that Xiao Changming was a prince. She excitedly grabbed me, her expression as if she had met a soulmate. Miss, you are truly a talent, born to do this job. Our Tianxiang Lu needs a talent like you. Then he said to Xiao Changming, this rich man, is the lady under your command for sale? Just name the price, this slave will pay any amount. Xiao Changming was so angry that he wanted to curse. Lan Xiang knelt down at Xiao Changming's feet while crying. Master, please don't sell this slave's young lady. This slave's young lady has been sickly since she was young, she won't be able to stand it here. Xiao Changming was about to refuse when he suddenly laughed coldly, his face showing a distorted expression. Li Mama is too polite, it's just a concubine, if Li Mama likes it then give it to Li Mama. Then he said fiercely to me, if you're so good at dancing, then just dance at Tianxiang Lu. I looked at Lan Xiang who was hugging Xiao Changming's leg and crying like rain, and forced a smile. How can that not be considered a good job? I must say, Mama Li has some eyes. After she asked me from Xiao Changming, she spent a large sum of money to promote me as a beauty queen. I said, I sell my art, not my body, otherwise I wouldn't dance. Mama Li smiled and patted my shoulder. I understand. I understand. That rich man also gave me 10,000 taels of silver when he left, telling me to take good care of you. You can dance here with peace of mind. If I become successful, I definitely won't mistreat you. Oh my, I like this Mama. I grabbed her hand. Oh, then can you give me some of that 10,000 taels? Mama Li looked at me, suddenly took out a handkerchief to brush her temples, her eyes darting back and forth. What? You want to eat cake? All right, good girl, I'll go get it for you right away. There was a bit of maternal love, but not much. So, I became a professional performer at the brothel. At first, Mama Li wanted me to dance every day. I said, that's not effective, once a month is enough to create a sense of anticipation. Do you understand what scarcity marketing is? Mama Li said, I know, I've spent so much money on promotion, promoting you to be a beauty queen, you dance once a month, do you want our entire Tianxiang Lu to starve to death? After some bargaining, my working schedule was temporarily adjusted to work 5 days a week and take 1 day off. I grumbled, which beauty queen goes to work every day? You dance 5 days and only get 1 day off, the production team's donkey doesn't dare use that much. Mama Li cried, feeling very wronged. Daughter, it really cost too much money to promote you to beat the beauties of other houses before. Portraits painted by famous people, poems written by writers, clothes, jewelry, which one doesn't need real gold and silver to invest in? Just endure for a while, wait until you get your money back, then I'll give you a year off. I looked at her, pursed my lips, and said nothing. What the hell is going on? Why do I feel a little moved? Actually, it's not like I've never thought about running away. But Xiao Changming, as a male lead in a tragic story, has taken the word dog to heart. Not only did he give money to Mama Li, asking her to take care of me, but he also sent people to guard me. Han Xiao, his personal guard, led several other guards, and kept watch downstairs at the Tianxiang Tower every day. Every time I wanted to run away, I was caught by them before I even stepped out of the door. Lian Dinyang, the prince has ordered that you are not allowed to step out of the Tianxiang Tower even once. I tisked Ed, raising my hand to poke Han Zhao's chest. Listen, is this what people say? In the prince's palace, they call me princess, but now they call me Lian Dinyang. Do you guys know what manners are? I'm telling you, this behavior of yours is called forcing wages to work as a prostitute. Han Xiao looked honest and simple. I kept poking him, he kept dodging, and finally I was forced into a corner. His back, bang, hit the wall. Princess. He was about to open his mouth when an angry shout rang out from behind. What are you doing? I looked, it turned out to be Xiao Changming. I hadn't seen him for half a month. I thought, at this time I should act a little weak, grab the hem of his clothes and cry, make him feel hurt, soften his heart, then let me go. After all, although the treatment at Tianxianglu was good, it was not a proper path after all. But as soon as I opened my mouth, I couldn't help but, oh. Your Highness, here to play with girls? Han Xiao. Xiao Changming. Me. Did I accidentally reveal something again? Xiao Changming had already become numb to my shocking words, so he didn't come to pick a fight with me, but to pick a fight with Han Xiao. Humph. You guys are living happily here, huh? Han Xiao, this king told you to watch over this woman, is this how you look at her? Han Xiao was thin-skinned, how could he hear these words? His face immediately turned red. Your Highness. You misunderstood, your subordinate and the princess consort have nothing. Xiao Changming was furious, this king saw it with his own eyes, in broad daylight, in front of so many people, you dare to flirt in front of this king, do you think this king is dead? I pouted, tightly pursed my lips, tears about to fall. Oh. Your Highness, are you jealous? The one who threw me into the brothel was you. The one who forced me onto the dance floor was you. The one who ordered people to guard me, not letting me escape was also you. Now you have the nerve to come here and criticize me for having an affair with another man? What a big face! It was still morning, the ladies in the building were still sleeping, and the Heavenly Fragrance Tower had not yet opened its doors to welcome guests. But my words immediately attracted the attention of many people. The windows upstairs opened one after another, and from inside, heads peeked out to gossip. I couldn't control my urge to expose them, and shouted at the people upstairs. That's right, this cripple in a wheelchair is the Jean King. I am the princess he married last month. Actually, he wanted to marry my older sister, but my older sister ran away with someone else, so my parents married me instead. He threw me into the brothel because he was sick and liked to look at his wife. Before I could finish my sentence, Xiao Changming pulled me back, then covered my mouth. Shut up for this king. At this moment, Mama Li and the guards of the Heavenly Fragrance Tower arrived. Seeing the scene before them, they were all extremely surprised. It was still the experienced Li Mama, smiling and walking forward. This one, you've come again? Are you here to find our Miss Lien? I struggled to say, he's not, he's here to cause trouble. Li Mama was very dignified, coldly saying, you're causing trouble? Then don't blame this servant for being rude. As soon as Li Mama finished speaking, more than 10 large guards, holding sticks in their hands, immediately surrounded her. Beside Xiao Changming, a guard shouted, how bold! This is His Highness Jin Wang, you dare to go so far? I immediately looked at Mama Li with eyes full of resentment. I was her money tree. She couldn't help but help me. Mama Li was very imposing, she put her hands on her hips and scolded, so what if I cause trouble? If I cause trouble, can I bully others? This is Tianxiang Lu, not Jin Wangfu. Miss Lien. Is the beauty of our building, whoever dares to hurt her is going against our Tianxiang Lu. Xiao Changming didn't expect Mama Li to change her face so quickly, her expression was extremely unsightly, this is my concubine, I can bring her here, naturally I can take her away. Mama Li sneered, grabbed my hand, and pulled me away from Xiao Changming. Sorry, you can't take this person away. You personally brought people here before, and now they are people from my Tian Hong Lao. I was deeply moved. Li Mama, you are truly my kind mother. Compared to being the concubine of the king of Jin, I would rather work all year round without rest. You. Xiao Changming looked at us, trembling with anger, and was about to reason with Li Mama when someone leaned into his ear and whispered, Your Highness, this Tian Hong Lao is the property of His Highness the Crown Prince. He spoke very softly, but I heard it very clearly. His Highness the Crown Prince, wasn't he the male supporting villain in the story, fighting to the death with the male lead, and in the end, losing by a single move, and dying in resentment in the Northwest? The domineering male protagonist in ancient stories, after all, has some luster. Xiao Changming is the youngest son of the current emperor, Xiao Chonghang is the current crown prince. Xiao Chonghang's mother is the empress, still alive. Xiao Changming's mother is imperial noble consort Xian, who passed away early. Xiao Chonghang is healthy, talented, and resourceful. Xiao Changming is in a wheelchair, and also has that strange disease. But Xiao Changming is the male protagonist, Xiao Chonghang is the supporting male protagonist. Because Xiao Changming's mother is the emperor's white moonlight. Moreover, the emperor also believes that the empress is the one who killed his white moonlight. Therefore, every day the emperor is cold, oppresses the crown prince and empress, secretly supporting the male protagonist. The crown prince discovers that no matter how hard he tries, he is not recognized by his father. Every time he enters the palace he sees his mother in tears, so he turns dark, doing a series of things aimed at the male protagonist. Specifically, making things difficult for him, framing him, assassinating him, kidnapping his wife. Oh right, it was me. Now tell me, Xiao Chengxing, the person in the original plot who kidnapped me and Jiang Yunxian, and asked Xiao Changming who to save first, is my boss. Who? I cried, this time for real. Xiao Changming immediately became furious when he heard that Tianxianglu was the crown prince's property. What about His Highness the crown prince's property? This woman is mine. Mama Li waved her small fan. She is yours, but you gave her to me. Have you forgotten? You even gave me 10,000 taels of silver and told me to take good care of her. Xiao Changming's face was darker than the bottom of a pot. He clenched his fists and glared at Mama Li. She is my princess consort. Today, you must hand her over, or not. Mama Li was stunned. Princess? Why did I hear that your princess consort is the second daughter of Lord Jiang, the Minister of War, named Jiang Yunxian? Tears welled up in my eyes as I shook my head. I'm not Jiang Yunxian. I'm Jiang Youlian. I'm not his princess consort either. I'm a concubine. I've decided, I have to be decisive, resolute in drawing a clear line with Tu Truongmin. I don't want to be kidnapped, poisoned, then tied up with the green tea Jiang Van Tian, letting Tu Truongmin choose between the two. Whoever wants to be the female lead in a tragic story, let them be. It was obvious that Xiao Changming and I had no feelings for each other, not even any ambiguous scenes. But because I kept arguing with him, I attracted his attention. He glared at me, you are this king's woman, this king must take you away. I couldn't help but refute him, it was obvious that you brought me here yourself, right? Xiao Changming shouted at me again, that's not the problem. He gave an order, snatching people. Then, the guards behind him rushed forward. When Mama Li saw this, was this still acceptable? She sent out her guards. The two sides started fighting. Han Xiao saw this and planned to take advantage of the chaos to capture me. Luckily, I was quick-witted and ran out first. They were fighting, so it wouldn't be too much for me to take advantage of the chaos to escape, right? But I was locked up in the Heavenly Fragrance Tower for half a month. My range of activities was limited to my room and the main building. I didn't expect the Heavenly Fragrance Tower to be so big. I was careless and ran in the wrong direction. I didn't run to the main door, but ran to the backyard, rushing into a separate courtyard. As soon as I entered, I saw a misty mist before my eyes. It turned out that there was a man bathing, only his back could be seen. The man's hair was as black as a waterfall, he seemed to be closing his eyes to rest. Because I ran too fast, I couldn't stop. I rushed straight into the water, hit his back, my face pressed against his back, and braked with my face. My nose immediately stung, 2 lines of nosebleed ran down the bridge of my nose. I vaguely looked at the back in front of me, quickly assessing it: broad shoulders, slim waist, well-proportioned muscles, inverted triangle figure, sniff sniff. Then I slipped into the water, gulping down 2 mouthfuls of bathwater. Just when I thought I would become the first female protagonist of a tragic novel to drown because her face hit someone else's back, a large, strong hand pulled me out of the water. The next second, my eyes met a pair of eyes as deep as the bottom of a lake. "Who are you?" It was a pair of clear black and white eyes, delicate and lively facial features as if they were sculpted, sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes, black hair and red lips. If Xiao Changming's appearance could be considered evil and seductive because of his male lead aura, then the man in front of me was simply handsome. Handsome, handsome, handsome. I had never seen such a handsome man before. I was so stunned that my saliva uncontrollably flowed down the corner of my mouth. "Mom, I'm in love." The man saw me being silly, frowned, and glanced at my clothes. "Are you the girl here?" I quickly wiped my saliva. Yes, 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 I'm the beauty queen. Are you here too?" "Don't misunderstand, I just saw that you're beautiful so I looked, not because I wanted to." My words caused the cold handsome man's eyes to be tinged with a layer of laughter. He lowered his head to look at me. "You've fallen for me? Me? Me?" I stared at the handsome guy, trying to find 3 similarities between his eyebrows and eyes and Xiao Changming. Could it be that this person is the villainous crown prince Xiao Changhang? As soon as this thought flashed through my mind, Xiao Changming and his guards rushed in. Mama Li tried her best to stop him from outside. "His Highness Jin Wang, you can't come in." The door was broken open, and the guards fell to the ground. Xiao Changming's wheelchair rolled in from outside. Seeing Xiao Changhang and I in our situation, his expression immediately darkened. "What are you guys doing?" Mama Li frantically ran over. His Highness Jin Wang insists on coming in. This servant can't stop him." Seeing me actually leaning against Xiao Changhang, she turned pale with fear. "Lian. You." I suddenly saw so many people, and was so scared that I hugged Xiao Changhang's neck tightly. Seeing my actions, Xiao Changming's eyes turned red with anger. He gritted his teeth and called my name. "Jiang Yo Lian." My eyes were filled with tears, my body went limp, weakly leaning against Xiao Changhang's chest, unable to control myself. "Your Highness, listen to me explain, I really didn't have any intention of flirting with His Highness the Crown Prince." Then, he took the opportunity to fondle Xiao Changhang's chest muscles twice, causing his muscles to stiffen. After my mouth had its own thoughts, now it was my hand's turn to have its own thoughts. Xiao Changming was so angry that he almost jumped out of the wheelchair. Xiao Changhang was much calmer than Xiao Changming. He grabbed my shoulders, not letting me slip into the water. He glanced at me, then said to Xiao Changming, "What is your relationship with 6th brother?" This lazy, scheming temperament is really damned. Me, I have no relationship with him. If His Highness the Crown Prince doesn't mind, we might have some relationship. This time Xiao Changming was really so angry that he jumped up from the wheelchair. "Jiang Yolian, you are my princess, yet you dare to betray me and have an affair with the Crown Prince. Adultery?" The scolding was too harsh. I had to refute. "What princess? At most, I'm just your sister-in-law. I admit that I'm a substitute, but you don't want to marry me? You demoted me to a concubine, and even threw me to a brothel. Why are you still entangled now? Then I hugged Xiao Changxing tightly. Don't tell me you don't want me and His Highness the Crown Prince. I admitted that I deliberately molested him, but the bigger purpose was to sever my relationship with Xiao Changming. After all, I really have no relationship with him. Soon, Jiang Yunxian will return, and at that time she will still have to act like a green tea girl, harming me in all sorts of ways. I'm tired, I don't want to act with her anymore. Hearing my words, Xiao Changxing's hand on my shoulder tightened, and the two of us looked even more intimate. Sixth brother, you heard it too. This lady said, she has nothing to do with you, she wants to. Xiao Changming's eyes widened, his eyes filled with 3 parts grievance, 3 parts regret, 7 parts anger and shame. You guys. This king will remember this humiliation today, and will definitely repay it in the future. I sniffed, appearing even weaker. Xiao Lu, what are you saying? A prince actually dares to say he wants to take revenge on the crown prince in front of the crown prince. Have you got water in your brain? Your Highness the Crown Prince, he has treasonous intentions, quickly capture him. I, the female protagonist of the story, took the path of the evil female supporting character, leaving the evil female supporting character with nowhere to go. Xiao Changhong's chest suddenly shook. I raised my head to look at him in confusion, and saw the corner of his mouth move slightly, as if he wanted to laugh but didn't. Your Highness the Crown Prince, are you holding back your laughter? Xiao Changhong's face became serious, and he coughed lightly. Someone, throw the Jin Prince out for me. As soon as Xiao Changxing finished speaking, a group of black-clothed secret guards jumped down from the rafters. They quickly threw everyone in the room out. I stared at the roof with wide eyes, extremely surprised. Such a small room, how can it hide so many people? Does His Highness like being watched by others while bathing? Xiao Changxing, shut up. Me, hoo. Everyone was chased out, leaving only Xiao Changxing and I in the room. He let go of me, turned around and went ashore. My eyes couldn't help but follow his figure. I saw him step by step walking up the stairs, his strong, toned body gradually appearing above the water. I bit my finger, took a deep breath, not even daring to breathe too hard, afraid of missing something. Xiao Changxing seemed to notice my thoughts. He paused for a moment, then picked up the cloak beside him, opened it, and, swish, put it on. I only had time to see a flash of white, then nothing more. Nothing more. Damn it, why didn't you give me a system when I crossed over? That way I could pause, then rewind, he. Unlike just now in front of Xiao Changming, both his chest and abs were exposed. Seemingly realizing that I was craving his body, Xiao Changxing wrapped his cloak tightly, revealing only his slender neck and delicate Adam's apple, making his entire person even more prominent and attractive. That small face, only the size of a hand. That jawline, was even clearer than my life plan. The dancing costume on my body was already thin, and when it was soaked, it stuck to my body, further highlighting my well-proportioned figure. I sat sideways on the ground, covering my face with one hand, looking shy. My body couldn't help but bend into an S shape, and I deliberately pushed my chest forward. Your Highness. I didn't mean to take advantage of you. His Highness Jin Wang is really too much, unable to marry my elder sister. He took his anger out on me, his younger sister. I am the legitimate daughter of the Shangshu manor, but he forced me to the point of having to sell my art in a brothel. Your Highness, I am truly pitiful, hoo. Xiao Changxing glanced at me, then what do you want? I pursed my lips, send me back? Then I glanced at his slender, white fingers and said something shocking. You can take me as a concubine. I heard that His Highness the Crown Prince has not yet married. Looking into Xiao Changxing's jet-black eyes, I could hardly cry anymore. What the hell am I doing? Hearing my words, Xiao Changxing bent down and lifted my chin. His tone carried a hint of disdain. You want to be the crown princess? I quickly shook my head. Not worthy, not worthy. I only want to be His Highness the Crown Prince's concubine, even a concubine is fine. However, I had just finished creating the image of a passionate woman, and I had already lifted a rock and smashed it into my own feet. But you are not allowed to marry a main wife, a concubine, or a concubine can only have me. Xiao Chongqing was amused by me. So what's the difference between your concubine and the crown princess? My face was red, my expression shy, using the most innocent expression, saying the most shameless words. Then the crown princess is fine. Xiao Chongqing smiled. He looked very beautiful when he smiled, like 100 flowers blooming. It was as if a grand fireworks display was happening in my head. He waved his hand towards me. Come here. I crawled up from the ground and walked to his side. He glanced at me, leaned back. How would I know? This is not a good play performed by you and the King of Jin. You are actually a spy sent by the King of Jin. Me, what happened next? He ripped off the cloak on me. Prove it to me. I was stunned, standing rooted to the spot, speechless for a long time. There was actually such a good thing? The handsome man I fell in love with at first sight, wants, with me? What should I do now? Should I use a soft trick to tie him down, or half-heartedly push him away, or pretend to refuse first? Just when I was still hesitating, my mouth was one step faster, making the decision for me. I pounced towards Xiao Chongqing, pressed him down on the bed and kissed him. Hurry, hurry. Although in the end I didn't get what I wanted, and was kicked out by Xiao Chongqing. But I really did kiss him, and was also taken in as his only concubine. From the male lead's princess, to the brothel beauty, to the villain's sidekick's concubine, truly worthy of me, the female lead of a tragic story. Xiao Chongqing took me in. The first thing he did was to bring me back to the Shongshu mansion to present myself. First, I told my despicable father and mother everything that Xiao Changming had done to me, then looked at Xiao Chongqing with eyes filled with affection. His Highness the Prince of Jin has lost all humanity, his heart is like a wolf's. Fortunately it was His Highness the Crown Prince who came to my rescue, that I was able to escape from this sea of suffering. Your Highness the Crown Prince's great kindness, I don't know how to repay him, I can only repay him with my body. I ask my father and mother to make it happen. Xiao Chongqing also said from the side, Minister Jiang, I want to take Miss Jiang as my concubine, this is the dowry. Hearing that, I was overjoyed, grabbed Xiao Chongqing's sleeve, and asked in a low voice, isn't it a concubine? Xiao Chongqing leaned into my ear in a deep voice, his voice gentle and alluring, don't want it? I can take it back. I hurriedly grabbed his hand, yes, yes, thank you husband, old man, you are the best. My despicable father and mother. My parents did not hesitate long before agreeing to Xiao Chongqing taking me as a concubine. After all, a worthless daughter like me had already clung to him. Moreover, in their eyes, I had once wandered in the world, and the crown prince had already accepted me as a grave with green grass. What else could they be picky about? However, my despicable father still had some hesitation. But, His Highness the Jin Prince over there. Xiao Chongqing coldly snorted, with me as a son-in-law, isn't that enough for Minister Jiang? Do you want to please both sides? I hurriedly said to my father, Father, quickly agree. His Highness the Crown Prince is the future Crown Prince, no matter how much he is favored by the Jin Prince, he is a concubine, and he is also disabled. Father, don't harm yourself. In the original plot, Xiao Changming overthrew the Crown Prince and seized the throne. This despicable old man, the Minister of War, and his backers had contributed a lot. Marrying Xiao Chongqing was no different than directly cutting off one of his arms. After all, father-in-law should help his son-in-law, right? My straightforward words made my old man's face turn pale. He trembled as he looked at Xiao Chongqing. Your Highness, this little girl is simple-minded and speaks without restraint. Xiao Chongheng said again, I think, Lien is right. Old man. The reason why my despicable father married me off in the past was because he feared Xiao Changming's power. Now that Xiao Chongqing has a higher position and power, of course he dares to confront Xiao Changming. He immediately agreed to our marriage, and conveniently submitted a memorial, denouncing Xiao Changming. Selling the legitimate daughter of the Shongshu manor to a brothel is truly a heinous crime, disregarding the law. Even if he is the son born from the emperor's white moonlight, the son the emperor loves the most, the emperor cannot turn a blind eye. Old Lu. You really disappoint me. Punish you with half a year of confinement, and reflect in the mansion. After that, the emperor gave generous rewards to the Jiang family, and held a grand wedding for me and Xiao Chongqing. The crown prince married a concubine, although it was not as grand as marrying the main wife, but there were still many officials who came to drink to celebrate. Xiao Chongqing did not have any other women, so the servants in the crown prince's mansion respected me even more. I covered myself with a veil in the bridal chamber, my heart filled with confusion. When we consummate the marriage, should we do this or that? Why don't we do both? Shall we have a boy or a girl? Why don't we have both? Because Lan Xiang wasn't very trustworthy last time, this time I changed to another maid to accompany me. Hong Do heard me say that and couldn't help but remind me, Miss, can you be a little more modest? His Highness the Crown Prince has a cold temperament, if you take the initiative too much, won't it make him unhappy? I curled my lips into a smile, revealing a crooked-mouthed dragon expression. Men don't dislike women who are too proactive, but rather like women who are only proactive with themselves. Be a little proactive, then you'll have a chance. You can still have children. I was talking endlessly to Hong Do, when suddenly I felt silence all around me. What's wrong? Why isn't anyone saying anything? I frowned, lifted the veil, and saw in my bridal chamber, blatantly standing 10 masked men in black. Who are you? As soon as I finished speaking, the 10 men in black immediately controlled my maids and wet nurses. They put knives to my necks, threatening fiercely, if you don't want to die, don't make a sound. Me, oh? Is this the treatment of a female protagonist in a tragic novel? The person who barged into my bridal chamber was none other than old Lu Xiao Changming. His leg was poisoned in his mother's womb, which is why he couldn't stand up. But in fact, he had secretly cured himself a long time ago. Knowing that Xiao Chongheng and I were getting married today, he directly led people to the bridal chamber to rob the bride. He took off his mask and looked at me with pain. Lien. Look at this king. I said, don't look, don't look. On the day of the wedding of this concubine and the crown prince, what is His Highness the Jin Prince doing here? What bad luck! Xiao Changming's face immediately became distorted. She is my princess. How could she marry the crown prince as a concubine? I took out a handful of peanuts and melon seeds from under the blanket and ate them. Please wake up, okay? Your princess is Jiang Yunxian. On the marriage contract, the 3 lips and 6 dowries, all have her name. I am Jiang Yolian, it has nothing to do with you. He glared at me, but the one who married me was you. Me, humph. Wasn't I demoted to a concubine by you and sold to a brothel? Stop it, I'm lucky I didn't sue you for human trafficking. Xiao Changming felt a little wronged, this king didn't sell her. This king even gave money to Li Mama. I couldn't help but whisper 2 words to him, idiot. That's right, this brainless male lead Xiao Changming abused me for half a day, then fell in love with me. After I married someone else, he ran to my bridal chamber to steal my bride. As the female lead, not only was I not moved, I also scolded him. In the bridal chamber, I sat, he stood. I ate melon seeds while spewing out all the curses I knew from this life and the previous life. At first, Xiao Changming was still trying to act. Lien. Don't be like this, I know these are all angry words. But as my level of cursing increased, Xiao Changming also couldn't stand it a bit. Xiao Changming almost vomited blood, the black-clothed people beside him were all in tears. Don't scold anymore, don't scold anymore, scolding is too harsh. I've lived this long, the number of times I've been scolded together doesn't even compare to today. After that, the male lead who came to steal the bride was scolded by me until he became autistic. When Xiao Changhong's people discovered it, they were all captured. As the female lead of a tyrannical novel, I relied on scolding the male lead to turn against him. As he was dragged away, Xiao Changming muttered, Lien. Have you never liked me even a little? I reached out to caress my belly, I'm pregnant, his child. At that moment, I seemed to hear the sound of my heart breaking. The male protagonist in a tragic novel was also weak? What a misfortune! The troublemakers were all chased out, leaving only Xiao Changhang and I in the room. He reached out and pressed me down on the bed, his slightly cold hand slipped into my shirt, caressing my small belly. You have it? Why don't I remember? Then, he pinched the small layer of fat on my belly. I'm probably pregnant with a child of stewed pork leg with rock sugar, tomato sauce meatballs, roasted pigeon, baked clay-wrapped chicken, sweet and sour ribs. Xiao Changhang smiled, reached out to hug me, and pinched my cheeks. What did you secretly eat just now? I took out a handful of peanuts and melon seeds. Eat? Tu Truong Han, I don't believe it, I have to try it myself. He said, then lowered his head and kissed me on the lips. Because I didn't love the male lead, and even married the male supporting character, the female lead of the abusive story, was not abused at all. On the contrary, the male lead of the abusive story was brainless. Because of love, after losing the person he loved, he became depressed and depressed. Although, I really don't know where his love for me came from. Thinking back and forth, I can only conclude that he has a tendency to like being abused. The more harshly I scolded him, the more he liked it. Later, I heard that someone imitated me, coming in front of Xiao Changming to scold him, wanting to get his attention. But the ending was not good. He said, in this world, only Lien is allowed to scold this king like that. Don't call my name, get lost. My villainous crown prince and I lived very happily. Half a year after Xiao Changhang and I got married, Jiang Yunxian, who had run away with the poor scholar, returned. She was haggard and thin, wearing a white dress, her appearance as weak as a gust of wind. She collapsed in front of the Jin Wangfu's gate. That day, my carriage just happened to pass by the Jin Wangfu's gate. Xiao Changming was also planning to go out. So the three of us just happened to meet each other. The people immediately rushed over. Jiang Yunxian saw me dressed splendidly, with a radiant appearance. A trace of jealousy flashed in the depths of her eyes. She called out in a gentle voice, Your Highness. After all, Jiang Yunxian was Xiao Changming's white moonlight. Seeing her in such a state, Xiao Changming felt heartache. He immediately helped her up. Xian. What's wrong with you? How did it turn out like this? Jiang Yunxian started to act. That year, Lien said she liked the prince, begging me to give her the position of Jin Wangfei. I have loved this little sister since I was young. I agreed to whatever she wanted. I didn't expect her to send someone to kidnap me, making me wander in a foreign land. Then, she jumped in front of my carriage. Little sister, I can forget about the past. I'm not greedy for your position as princess consort. I only beg you to let me be a concubine. A commoner is fine, as long as I can be by His Highness the King of Jin's side. I quickly pulled my leg back. Oh my God, it's so dirty. Quickly move away. Jiang Yunxian looked extremely aggrieved. Little sister, how could you say that? Your position and status now should have belonged to me. Hong Do was now the female official in charge of the Eastern Palace. Her aura was completely different from before. She stepped forward and slapped Jiang Yunxian. What a big guts! My master is the crown prince's concubine, not some Jin Wangfei. Miss Jiang, please respect yourself, otherwise, if this matter reaches our crown prince's ears, then you won't have a good ending. The original owner was weak and easy to bully, even her maidservant was often bullied by Jiang Yunxian. Seeing the original owner's maidservant daring to hit her, Jiang Yunxian gritted her teeth, wishing she could eat her alive. Hong Do! How dare you! I am the eldest young lady, don't you recognize me? Hong Do arrogantly raised her chin, snorting in disdain. Master and Madam have already said there is no daughter like you, who dares to run away with someone. They have already kicked you out of the house. Right now, the Shangshu mansion only has our young lady as the legitimate daughter. Xiao Changming saw Jiang Yunxian being beaten. He was extremely heartbroken. He wanted to come and question us. What do you want to do? In any case, Xian is your biological older sister. I was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. I started to madly ruin it. Do you know why she came back? The scholar she ran away with was not a good person. At first, the two of them relied on the money she stole to survive for a few months, but that scholar was honest on the surface, but behind her back he drank, gambled, and womanized, very quickly losing all that money. When the money was spent, the creditors came knocking. That scholar immediately sold her. My poor younger sister, a jade arm that 1,000 people slept on, a pair of red lips that 10,000 people kissed. Now that I've finally escaped, I've already come back to find the prince. Don't let her infatuation down. After saying that, under everyone's astonished gazes, I let out a loud laugh like a villain, got in the carriage and left, leaving Xiao Changming and Jiang Yunxian who had turned black and petrified. Hongdo, Your Highness, His Highness the Crown Prince has returned from patrolling the camp today. Me, wonderful. Let's go find my Highness the Crown Prince and hug him. After that, I heard that Jiang Yunxian became Xiao Changming's concubine, and was abused by him, stepping onto the path of a female protagonist who was abused in a sadistic way. As for me, because I had a good mouth, and chose the right person, I not only stepped onto the path of a sweet story female protagonist, but also stepped onto the path of a refreshing story female protagonist. Under my care and warmth, Zhao Chengxing did not turn dark, and focused on his career, and finally ascended to the throne. During the coronation ceremony, the ministers reported that the country could not be without a king for a day, and the harem could not be without a master for a day, requesting Xiao Chengxing to establish a queen. Xiao Chengxing looked at me, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, pretending to be troubled. When I was still the crown prince, I only had one concubine by my side, and if I wanted to establish a queen, I wouldn't know who to establish. I remember, she seems to be the legitimate daughter of Jiang Shangshu's family, right? His biological father was so excited that his face turned red. Yes, 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 it's that little girl. Xiao Chengxing nodded, well, then it's her. Immediately, flattery rang out around his biological father. Congratulations to Minister Jiang. Wrong, you should call him Lord Guizhou. There was a political enemy of his biological father who was not convinced. Your Majesty, just establishing an empress? Xiao Chengxing looked at him with a strange expression. Didn't you guys want to establish an empress? We already have an empress, what else are you guys dissatisfied with? After all, he promised me that there would only be one couple in our lifetime. Being the emperor was fine, but the empress must be me, and there must be no other concubines. Because in the future, he would truly be infatuated with me. If he didn't indulge me, I wouldn't hold him at night anymore. At night, Xiao Chengxing, now the emperor, hugged me tightly. Is my beloved concubine satisfied? I nodded, satisfied, satisfied. He flipped through the bedroom secrets book in his hand, stopping at a page that couldn't be described, that had to be imagined. So. I jumped forward and kissed him on the lips. I'll listen to you, and